I just want to go on record and just say this. The Dallas Stars are the most embarrassing organization in the NHL.
Wow.
Now, they are more embarrassing than the Sens.
Overnight.
They have just pole vaulted themselves, catapulted themselves to the front of the line. No.
Top 5.
Dude, top.
Wow.
Eugene Melnick has never called Thomas Chabot, who, by the way, took a really high hit and a nasty one from Matt Martin, and hope he's okay, last night. There was
he's going to miss 3 weeks.
Wow. I'm surprised player safety is not looking at that, to be honest with you.
Maybe they are. Maybe
that
I
was
haven't
shoulder to
seen
head.
that on my tweet either.
I haven't seen that.
Carlson got 2 games for that.
If you think your players are underperforming, the best way to get them to keep underperforming is do what the Dallas Stars did.
It's so strange. Like, it's so completely transparent what they're doing.
So what? Okay, tell me what is transparent in your mind.
So, okay, I'm trying to get all the players in a row. Like, sorry, I don't know every team's president.
Yeah.
Jim Lights.
Yeah, he'd been the president before and then was brought back when the owner, whose name escapes me right now, bought the team in 2011.
Yeah, something about the Illiches. He worked for them.
He wanted to own part of the Canucks, or did, and then the Illiches bought, or not Illich. Who's the guy who owns the Canucks?
Oh, Aquilini.
Aquilini's put in a better bid.
Yeah.
He's a Vancouver-based guy, so he bought the Stars instead, and they were in bankruptcy protection at that point.
So I think I want to say it's Sean Shapiro. From The Athletic, who tweeted it. He covers the Stars.
Yep.
I actually get to interview him tonight
Sean Shapiro.
on
Might be Shapiro.
Hockey Central Saturday.
Might be Shapiro.
I should probably find out.
You might
before
want to
I
check that
speak
out.
to him. Yes. So he tweets his quote, and it's from Jim Lights, but supposedly, because people were like, oh, I wonder what ownership thinks about that or whatever. It was with the blessing of ownership.
Oh, yeah. So here's...
Yeah, so
and I think
maybe we should back up.
we should give
tell the whole story.
Yeah, for sure. We should give the context. So imagine you're a reporter. You're a Stars reporter.
I'm Sean Shapiro or Shapiro.
And there's probably 3 of you,
Sean.
right?
Sean.
There's probably 3 or 4 of you because, let's be honest, it's a Cowboys town. And
It's not as good for the Stars.
yeah. And so
A Luka Doncic town. You should correct yourself.
What's that?
It's a Luka Doncic town.
It is now.
Yes.
It is now. So you go to the pregame or you go to the practice or whatever, and the president of the team, who never does interviews, says, we need to talk, and this is going on record. And then repeats himself and says, make sure this is on record. And then he goes on to say things like this.
Make sure this is on record.
This is he called the team fucking embarrassing. And he said that the owner's pissed, and you know what it's about. They are fucking horseshit. I don't know how else to put it. The team was okay, but Seguin and Ben were terrible. I don't get it. The good news is the coach got everyone else to go, and we found a way, and we were able to make up for their lack of playing. We're a Stars-driven league, and our Stars aren't getting it done. It's embarrassing, and no one writes it. Write it. And that's not even everything. So let's keep going.
I didn't know the no one writes it, write it part. Gee.
These guys are not good enough. They're not good enough for me. They're not good enough for the owner. And they're certainly not good enough for the general manager, who I can't speak for, but it's not good enough for the job he's done.
Who I can't speak for, but he directly reports to me, and I am absolutely speaking for.
You know what? Adam hates babies. I can't speak for him, but he hates babies.
With the job he's done. But we've had meeting after meeting. The accountability on the ice is not there. These guys were signed to big contracts because they were the 3rd and 6th leading scorers in the National Hockey League over the past 5 years.
We found it.
They got their money. We expect them not to be outplayed in every game we play in. And if they were as good as they've been in the past, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Now, just for context, Ben is making $13 million, but it's only 9.5 against the cap, which is the 3rd highest salary in the league this year, the $13 million number.
Yeah.
He's got 30 points in 38 games. Seguin, whose extension kicks in next season, is 9.5 a year.
It does?
Yeah, it's not even this year. He's got 32 points in 38 games. Now, interesting, you said ding, 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 it's about the money. Well, Mr. Lights has something to say to you, Mr. Dangle and Mr. Blake.
Love it.
It's not about how much money.
It is absolutely about how much money.
I don't resent the money.
I think you resent the money a little bit.
It's about what we expect the money to be. You just can't win if your best players aren't your best players, and they aren't best players.
That makes sense.
I'm sick and tired of listening to bloggers and others talking about Brett Ritchie, Julius Honka, and a few other players that he mentions. We're just too good. The fans deserve more. The owner deserves more. Ding, ding, ding. And I share that opinion with the owner. The fans deserve better, and Ben and Seguin aren't getting it done. And until they do, we aren't going to be good enough. By the way, there's still more, but we can pause here for a second for comment if you'd like.
I know what's going on here.
I'm going to keep going. We have to read all these quotes. We have to keep going.
Keep her going.
Okay. All right. Now they talked to, according to Shapiro, who you will talk to tonight.
Sean S.
According to Sean S. from The Athletic.
Sean S. from Texas.
They asked Seguin about it and Ben about it, and they both, gave hockey player answers. Yeah, it's not good enough. We need to be better. Yeah. Ben said, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If this team wants to get to the next level, that starts with myself, and that's exactly what needs to happen. We need to get better. And he talks about competing the game, blah, 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 blah. Now, it's Gagliardi. It's Gagliardi.
Gagliardi, yeah.
Who's from Vancouver. Light said, Ben is the leader of the team. He stirs the drink, but he's not doing it. He's got to get it done. And he said about Seguin, who, by the way, is only ahead of Nazem Kadri in posts and crossbars hit this year, which is a trackable stat now.
Yeah,
which is hilarious.
So it is the thing?
So Naz is second. Tyler Seguin is first by like a mile.
Wow.
I don't remember.
It's like 14 or 15.
Yeah, they showed, he's in first by a lot, but there's this clump of guys who have hit the post a ton.
Oh, yeah?
And you look at Kadri's name, and it's a crazy outlier, because he's a good player, but like, it's all star. It's all guys who shoot way more often than him, so he's just been incredibly unlucky.
Yeah. Well, here's what Lights has to say about that. He's hitting posts. Wah. That's what I say about that. Get a little bit closer.
This guy practiced this in the mirror.
Oh, yeah. Get a little bit closer to the action. Actually go to the spot where you score goals. He doesn't do that. He never does that anymore.
Thanks, coach.
He used to be a pest to play against. People hated playing against Tyler Seguin. They don't anymore. These guys have been great players, but we are 40 games into the season, and they aren't getting it done. We're going to sleepwalk to another 14th from the bottom finish and miss the playoffs. By the way, as of right now,
they're in the playoffs. They shut out Nashville 2-0 the previous game. Granted, they got outshot to hell.
So here's the interesting part. Before the interview, Lights prefaced the whole conversation in two ways. First off, this was all on the record. Second, he said throughout his career he's never publicly commented on a player's performance, but with how bad Ben and Seguin have been this season, he couldn't sit by and watch the franchise get shortchanged by two players. Shortchanged. Now,
it's money.
This is the last paragraph.
He says the word change.
I mean, I know I'm being a little literal about it, but it's about the money.
I take a lesson from Bob Gainey here. He said you'd be really successful in this league if you never gave a shit about being invited to players' daughters' weddings, and that's what I think. I don't give a fuck. I'm a year-to-year guy, and I'll be damned if a guy who's been as good to me as Tom Gagliardi, as good to this franchise, isn't getting the results, and those players aren't getting it done.
Money.
I'm telling you, we're going to run through a GM who does everything he can to make this team better because we aren't getting the results. That quote, to me, is the most important.
Wait, it's literally up to you whether this GM gets fired or not. Simply say you're not going to fire him. What?
They just said they will.
Am I misreading it by going, he just said, listen, if we don't get better results, we're going to have to fire the GM.
That's what he said. The GM who he says has done a great job.
What, are you stupid? That's up to you. It's literally your decision. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do in this life. Aren't you rich? Don't we have this conversation every show? How did you get here? What is the point of being this rich?
And he's
you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. What's the matter with you?
I love this because
any Jim lights going off in your brain there, bud?
He's put Jim Neal's potential firing, which now looks like if they don't make the playoffs, that is going to happen. Yeah. He's put Jim Neal's potential firing on the docket, and he's going to pin it, not to himself, the guy who makes the decision, but to two guys who are having a little bit of bad luck.
If Jesse doesn't bring up another What's Up in Live Vid segment, I'm just going to have to throw my coffee at Adam. I don't want to throw my coffee at Adam, but Jesse has left me no choice. No choice at all. Jesse, how are you going to feel when I throw my coffee in Adam's face?
I'm going to be perfectly the same.
You're going to have that coffee on your hands.
Yeah, it's going to be my
And not
fault.
only that, Jesse signed for the next 8 years.
Oh, what am I going to do?
You will
I'm
figuratively,
just going to take all this money and be happy.
you'll figuratively have coffee on your hands, and Adam will literally have coffee on his face. And that is my cross to bear.
Yeah.
What the frig is wrong with this guy?
I know.
What?
I know. Well, and here's the thing. It's a
Also, can I say I think he went to the Athletic for a reason? So he could say fucking horse shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because they can.
No one else can print it.
They can print that.
In Sportsnet, they reported it as expletive. And the score, I think it was.
Yeah.
Said fucking horses.
Fucking horses.
Because they didn't want to write shit.
Yeah.
And they chose to
Yeah.
bleep out.
I'd rather fuck horses than fuck horse shit. Am I right?
No. I don't
No,
know.
I'm not right.
I
don't know.
think-
Score. Quote me on
I
that.
don't
Try to
think
figure out that meaning.
yeah.
You know what?
Local
In this life, you have
podcaster.
choices, and one of them is neither of those things.
That could be a neither choice. Show me the results.
Yeah,
I want to deep. Show me the results. I don't want to commit to a decision. I just want to know what other people are saying.
This isn't worse than the Ottawa Senators.
This is worse.
It's not.
You know why? You know
This
why
is so temporary.
You know
Yeah,
this-
it's one angry guy who's going to get over it.
You know, I'll tell
Or
you why
make a
this is
decision
worse.
that's terrible.
I'll tell you why this is worse.
Which, I mean, that's just every time.
Or, yeah.
This is worse because the Ottawa Senators, it's dancing with the devil, you know, right? The Ottawa Senators are bad right now, and they have an owner that's bad. The problem with the Dallas Stars is they also have an owner that's bad and interfering, a president that's bad and interfering, a general manager who's about to get fired, and by the way,
And there's nothing the president could do about it.
and this is the thing. It's with Ottawa, it comes down to one person. With Dallas, it's several.
Well, it's a coordinated
But-
effort to slander their stars.
I'm going to go
why?
out on a limb here and say maybe Jim Neal does deserve to get fired, and it's not because of this. It's Steve. You sent a tweet to our messages.
That's what I was just looking up a few minutes ago.
I think he may have a point, and it's not that Jim Neal has made bad trades. I think he's just done other things poorly.
From Ledger Sco on Twitter, so none of their players from this past draft have played an NHL game. You can't hold that against them. They didn't pick until 13th. And Ty Dellandrea, I think, was actually a good pick. I kind of wanted the Leafs to get him. From the previous draft,
Just read the names.
yeah, Miro Heiskanen, which, I mean, he's excellent, obviously, but he was third overall.
How do you screw that up?
Yeah, Dylan
Oilers.
Ferguson has played one game. He was a seventh-round pick. Oh, wait a sec. They drafted Dylan Ferguson? So Dylan Ferguson is the goalie from the WHL that Vegas had to call up last year. So I'm curious to know how they got him. I wonder if that was Mark Mathot related. From the 2016 draft, no one has played a game. From the 2015 draft, their first-round pick, Denis Gurianov, has played 9 games. And their second-round pick, Roop Hintz, has played 14 games. They've combined for 6 points. From the 2014 draft, only Julius Honka has played in any games. 79 games played, 13 points. From the 2013 draft, they got 3 guys. Valery Nichushkin, that has not worked out. Almost 200 games, 69 points, which is nice, but not great. Jason Dickinson, who I've never heard of, has played in 72 games.
Creative player, Jason Dickinson.
16 points. Remy Ellie, 101 games, 22 points. Nick Paul, who I believe is with the Senators now. I'm not sure
Also
what
a
that trade
YouTuber.
was. Also a YouTuber. Yeah, he's the lesser known, the least famous Paul.
That's right.
Not even as big as the dad. Yeah, the black sheep of the Paul family. 40.
He's like the other Jonas
That's
brother.
amazing.
Yes. Yeah, the guy. Yeah.
Oh, the other Smith child. You know Will Smith has another child?
Oh yeah, who just he
Who just
doesn't feel like
isn't-
it.
yeah,
just
it's
isn't
weird.
in the public eye.
Isn't that the one he's singing about in Just the Two of Us? His
Is it?
eldest child.
Yeah,
It's
the
his
eldest
first. Yeah, that's the one. You know, remember
Oh,
Just
no
the Two of Us from
yeah,
Big Willie
yeah.
style? That's the one he's singing about.
Oh,
Or rapping.
Do
Yeah.
they have like a weird relationship or
Rapping.
something? Or?
Well,
No, I think he just doesn't want to be.
it's like Tom Cruise and his
jaded.
kids. He never sees them, but they exist.
Oh,
I don't know that that's the case with Will Smith.
anyway,
I'm kidding, Will.
2012
I'm kidding.
draft.
Nick Paul.
I love Will Smith.
2012. Yeah, he's only played 47 games. 2012 draft. Who we got? Who are the names? Radek Faxa. Hey, he's a good player. Still,
What?
Ooh. just 242 games played, just 90 points. He's still an all right player, though. Devon Shore, 200 games. Essa Lindell, 200 games. I mean, I'm still not seeing a name that is terribly good.
The point
Gennell
is...
Smith, who they just lost to waivers to Boston. Jamie Alexiak, who's a Penguin right now.
Who was a first-round pick, by the way.
Yeah, 14th overall, and that's in the previous draft. Brett Ritchie. There's another guy, 200 games, 50 points. Jyrki Jokipaka, 150 games, 28 points. Jack Campbell, who was 11th overall. That was a goalie, and I remember he came in with all sorts of praise. 20 games played, 1 assist.
All right, I think that's enough.
The point is, Steve...
The point is they haven't done a very good job surrounding their supporting cast.
And Jim Neal has been in charge of the Dallas Stars drafting since he was hired in April 2013 after he replaced Joe Nieuwendyk. That means he's had 5 drafts, more than the Leafs have had to turn it around. When you argue when the Leafs turnaround came, it was after April 2013 when Jim Neal
with your firsts.
Bingo. And if he
Sometimes your second.
If he had, maybe they could rely on their second line to pick up the scoring every once in a while.
And someone was pointing this out, like John Klingberg was a 4th rounder and Jamie Benn was a 5th rounder. I'm not sure where I stand with this one because people are going, well, they got lucky with those. I mean, yes, they did, but they picked them. Right?
Yeah, give them that credit.
Like,
for sure.
You know, we praised the Leafs for drafting Semyon Dragachintsev because of what he might be. You know, all that
Andreas
kind of
Janssen.
potential. Andreas Janssen, what he might be. Well, if they knew he was going to be this good, they would have drafted him in the 2nd round.
So would everybody else.
Yeah, no one had him that high. That's why that happened, all right? So I don't think I'm going to take Klingberg and Ben away from them. But Seguin and Ben are their number 1 and 2 scorers this season. Had Radulov not gotten hurt, he'd probably be number 1. But if you look at their offense, outside of those guys, they got nothing. Like, Jason Spezza is having a resurgent season, and he's still not even close to those guys.
Yeah.
Their offense is terrible. Their forwards are terrible. Now, a lot of the Stars fans that, you know, when I retweeted this, whenever I was like, where the hell did this come from? Stars fans have been talking about, well, they haven't been good lately. Well,
maybe they just aren't.
Well, I don't even know who's the 3rd member of that line. I suppose it's Radulov, but when he was out, who was it?
I don't.
Couldn't tell you.
Can we check Daily Faceoff, Jesse?
Maybe Faxa?
I can tell you.
I think Radulov's back, but
Right.
they're just not good enough up front. The only reason they're anywhere close to the playoffs, I didn't realize how good their goaltending has been this season. Ben Bishop has, I think he's in, I would say, the periphery of the Vezina conversation. I think he's a 923. Anton Khudobin, maybe the best backup goalie in the league this season. And with his shutout against Nashville, that was I think the 11th most saves ever made in a shutout. I love those random stats.
Yeah.
You know who owns the record? Most saves in a shutout with 59? Ben Scrivens.
Wow, really?
Ben Scrivens
LA?
in a 3-0 win Oilers
over
the Sharks. It was like one of his first Oilers games.
I remember that,
and
yeah.
everyone was like,
we found him!
That was our
guy. We found him.
That was another cool CBC moment. Like, everyone just sort of stopped what they were doing around the 2nd period, and everyone was like, Ben Scrivens has like 40 saves tonight. And we all just watched the Oilers-Sharks game, which is not always a requirement. All right, here's the... Oh, what?
I think that's just a placeholder, because...
Is Radulov out?
No, so it's the top line on Daily Faceoff. I don't know if this is how it'll end up being. Yeah. Jamie Benn, Roop Hintz, and Alex Radulov. Seguin was on the 2nd line.
With Spezza, right?
With Devon Shore and Denis Gurianov.
Okay. Spezza's
Tyler
3rd.
Pitlick, Radek Faksa, Blake Como, Matthias Janmark, Jason Spezza, Brett Ritchie. Like, that's just, it's a
What's
very
the defense?
Mediocre roster.
Show me the defense.
The defense is Essa Lindell, John Klingberg, Miro Heiskanen, Roman Polak is on their 2nd pairing, and Julius Honka, Taylor Fadoon. Is someone hurt?
Somebody must be.
I think
Connor Carrick's not playing.
Connor Carrick's not in that lineup.
Although I don't think... I mean, listen, I like Connor Carrick. I don't think he's a game changer, though.
You could probably make that roster.
Mathot, Hansel.
Oh, Mathot. Yeah, Mathot's good.
That's probably why Polak's up, because Mathot's out.
Holy shit.
Well, so here's more context to the situation that that maybe we've just been sleeping on Dallas in terms of dysfunctional bad organizations. This is according to, and I'm not going to name names here, but this is a guy who is a Dallas Stars season ticket holder and has been for over 5 years.
I think I retweeted him.
I said I was not going to name people.
All right. Let's hear it.
Adam, 3 years ago today, the Stars were in first place, and there was talk of the NHL, talk in the NHL for their entertaining, possession-friendly, chaotic style of play. In March of that season, Jim Lights, fucking horseshit Jim Lights, emailed a few of us season ticket holders to come to a meeting. We didn't know why. So they all show up to this meeting.
Man, so much stuff gets revealed at these things.
I know. I wish we had like a live broadcast of each of them.
Well, but like who was it? Lawrence Gilman at the Marley season seat holders meeting recently. Was just dropping gems,
Yeah.
and the only reason we heard any of it is someone happened to live tweet it.
Yeah, and he's a follower of the show,
Yeah, that's it.
so we follow him.
That's it.
So he continues. They go to this meeting, and he says, Jim Lights pointed at the standings and said, because of this, we are raising your season ticket prices 33%. This is a quote he says, you owe it to the organization and to this management group to renew, as you guys have been lucky enough to pay low prices for season tickets so far compared to the rest of the league.
Wow.
He said we owed it to the management group to renew. He said, I stuck in there. And he said, and then this team proceeded to hire Ken Hitchcock, sign Martin Hanzal to an absurd deal, and have the most embarrassing goalie contracts in hockey, and then sign Roman Polak. He goes on to talk about how, they appreciate the fact in Dallas that Tyler Seguin, who is from Brampton, said, no, Dallas is home.
Yep.
And I think people forget Tyler Seguin was pissed with Jim Neal this summer because he didn't call and say, hey, let's do an extension.
I have a feeling this little rant may be related
To that?
to that.
Maybe.
I wonder if the issues are off ice. There have been those with Seguin, although it was when he was a much younger man, and I haven't really heard a peep out of him since. In fact, all the behind-the-scenes stories I've heard of Seguin over the past few years have been
Pretty good.
the opposite of what he was sort of in Boston.
Or what he was supposed to be.
What he was perceived to be. He partied a lot. He did party a lot, and he got himself into some controversies and tweeted a couple things and had to issue apologies. His opening press conference with the Stars contained an apology because of a tweet he sent. He was a bit of a knucklehead, albeit a talented one. But everything I've heard behind the scenes is positive with him. People were tweeting some things about Jamie Benn. I don't know. That's just hearsay. I don't know.
Now,
he did have that one bad tweet.
He says, now this is personal experience from this person, but he said, I've encountered Lights 3 times in my life as a season ticket holder, and each time he said something stupid. That's his personal opinion. I mean,
when is it ever good?
It's believable. It is believable given what we've heard. It's
Dude,
believable.
Like, when your GM should talk sparingly.
Yes.
Dubas talks just about the perfect amount.
A little too much.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He's loud and arrogant with all his analytics, really.
Yeah.
If he would
Clacking his abacus.
stop shoving those numbers in our faces.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Put your
Kyle.
Texas Instruments calculator away.
Yeah.
Sir.
You jerk. You big jerk. But your GM should talk sparingly. If anyone above the GM talks, when is it ever a good thing?
Never. Never. I haven't
Someone's gotten fired. The team is doing poorly. They're begging for money for a new arena or from season ticket holders. It's always some bullshit. It's never good. It's never good. And I wonder if Jim Lights has made that connection.
I don't think he has.
No!
I think Jim Lights may have a point with Jim Neal.
Of course he does.
But I don't think-
He's the decision maker
However, I
in that
think
decision.
if he made that choice, I would say I could see how he would probably want to make a change there. You've had 5 years. You haven't drafted particularly great. And
He's just starting to.
And
That's
he's
the
just
funny
starting
thing.
to finally. But that's because he finished like 14th last year, or 14th in the conference. I think that there's a point there, but you cannot pin a GM being fired on your 2 star players. Star players are going to go through skids. They're going to go through bad starts and bad seasons. That happens.
It's so ironic that Tyler Seguin is currently going through the Phil Kessel conundrum. He's not good enough. The Leafs need him to be better. He's not good. The team around him was shit. It was shit. How many of those guys left the Leafs and went on to do a single damn thing?
They didn't even play in roster.
A lot of them discovered they weren't even NHL players. Weirdly. We have those players to thank for the likes of Nylander and Marner and Matthews. That's what happened. Kessel wasn't the issue. Could he have played better? Maybe. Wouldn't it have been great? What? So interesting. Kessel goes to a good team, and the good team gets good results. Funny that. So, all these bloggers are talking about this guy and Honka and that guy. Yeah, they are. Because they are the rest of the team you get. They are what does not work about the team. If you put good players on the second and third line, I bet you see an increase in production from Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin. I bet you see a return on your investment, which is 100% what this is about. It's about money. With these guys, it's always about money. If you spent it more wisely, maybe you'd get some actual value.
Maybe. I gotta say, too,
put me in charge. I know what I'm talking about.
What Jim Lights, and by extension Tom Galliardi, have done is they have exposed their players to something that they might be too old to take seriously, but I can guarantee you their players are not. And that is the onslaught of shit that will happen online.
Well,
the tidal wave of shitty comments, shitty tweets, sniping in the press.
You're turning your fans against them.
Exactly.
On purpose. On purpose.
And that's supposed to motivate these guys? That's supposed to make them want to play hard for you? Are you insane?
And here's the thing, though. If Seguin and Benn, so they have a game against Detroit, I think it's tonight. Mm-hmm. Seguin and Benn, if they do shitty, he was right. Jim Lights was right. If they do really well, they light him up, get a hat trick.
Jim Lights was right.
Good on Jim Lights. He was right. Selfish decision that only makes you look good. You're the star of the show, Jim. I know you rehearsed this shit in the mirror. I know you contacted them on purpose. Obviously you did. What I want to ask Sean why Christmas came so damn late for him today. That's what I'm going to ask him. How did this gift drop into his lap? Because the GM decided, you know what? This eggnog's pretty good.
President,
sorry, what did I say?
GM.
I said GM? Sorry. This president decided that the eggnog is good. I'm feeling a little loose. You know what? Let's do a little talking. What was it, after you shaved? Was it while you shaved? Putting on that aftershave and go fucking horse shit and practicing your little lines there, Jim? There's lots of movies looking for extras, Jim. You got to be the star of the show this bad.
Well, he's got money, so he can do whatever he wants, right?
Of course. Such as fire the GM or not.
The other thing I would say,
I'm gonna have to. What you're slandering your stars publicly and intentionally while holding a gun
to your GM's
head.
Yeah, this is going to be successful. And here's the other thing: you've got the team's not very good. So yeah, you know what? I agree with them. I think the GM should go, but you can't pin it on Seguin and Radulov and all the other players that are there. I just don't think the supporting cast is good enough, like you said. The problem here is that if you're a free agent, if you're John Tavares, and you had a meeting with Dallas this summer, you had a meeting with them, boy, are you wiping your brow going, Jesus, did I avoid that?
Yep. Next summer, I am not going and playing for that fucking horseshit president.
Do you think Bobrovsky's going to go there? Do you think Panarin's going to go there?
Nope.
No. Do you think anyone's going to go there? And here's the other thing.
I mean, if the money's right, players will. But if it comes down to, because here's the thing, someone's always going to match you. You want to be the team that wins the tie break. I don't think the Stars do that.
No, not now.
Nope.
Not now. I don't know if this was known within the NHL, but this is such an embarrassing moment for the organization. Yeah. Owner on down, and I am not embarrassed for Jim Neal. I'm not embarrassed for Tyler Seguin or Jamie Benn. I think I think Jim Neal's made some poor decisions. I think he's made some great decisions. That Tyler Seguin trade was highway robbery. We all know it. But let's look at the facts here. You are the head of the organization, and you and the owner are in cahoots about this. You guys clearly discussed this beforehand. It was premeditated. You are terrible leaders. You are terrible business people because you just shot your own organization in the foot. And you know what I loved about this? This is my favorite quote.
Wait, you think Lindy Ruff needs a babysitter?
Yeah. Well, no, this is my favorite quote. My favorite quote is Tom Lights, or is it Tom Lights? Whatever it is. Mr. Lights. Jim Lights saying, an owner that's been this good to me dash this good to the organization. So A, it's about you. He's been good to you, and you're going to lose your job.
Well, and also,
B,
he might be firing the shots for his buddy.
Of course.
Which is
that's 100% what he's doing.
It's cowardly.
B, he's been this good to the organization. So number one, you're desperate. You're the president, and you're desperate because you are going to lose your job because this reflects poorly on you. So what are you doing?
No one was talking about how the Stars are shit. No one.
You're shipping off blame, but the owner is, and this is the owner wants this. Number two, the owner's been so good to the organization. He paid $250 million for it. Should he not be good to it? This is an asset of his. What kind of idiotic statement is that? Did he buy the Dallas Stars so he could just tank them? This is super fun.
You're supposed
I'm
to
a
take
Canucks
care
fan.
of your toys.
I'm a Canucks fan, and I'm going to pay $250 million to take at least one team out of the Canucks' way. Is that what Tom Galliardi's going to do? Of course he's going to be good to his investment. What kind of idiotic statement is that?
There's the long con again.
Ah,
got to get rid of him. Tavares took care of the Islanders, and Galliardi took care of the Stars.
I'm going to pay $250 million to submarine 1/14 of the Western Conference for the Canucks.
Get out of we will be the only team that wears green left. Stars of Minnesota Wild, you're next. He's like Goldberg in his
Chuck
prime,
Fletcher.
WCW, just running through green Western teams. It's super niche, but he's real good at it. Carolina, if you don't get rid of those bullshit Whalers jerseys.
Seriously. Which we're going to get to next. I find it is such an embarrassment for the organization. I don't even think anything Eugene Melnyk said last year is worse.
Because he's talk about
his
a
is all
mountain
business
of a
stuff.
molehill.
His is all business stuff. Eugene's all business. If the fans aren't coming, blah 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 blah. Fine, okay, you attack the fans. Pretty dumb move. You're suing your business partner. He's countersuing you. Okay, you're pretty dumb. We get it. Eugene Melnyk is not making clear-headed, rational decisions. But this is worse. You can't.
It was okayed.
It was okay by the owner.
At least Melnyk just does whatever he wants. This was several individuals getting together and going, yeah, all right, for sure. Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, that's a good team.
Star of the show.
Well, and what's Jim Neal supposed to do now?
Ruining, overshadowing one of the best goaltending performances in the franchise's history.
What is Jim Neal supposed to do now? The organization is now publicly losing its mind.
About the Dallas Stars.
Well, but that's the thing.
No one was talking about how bad they are.
If Jim Neal wants to make a trade, though, like Elliot Friedman always says, when there's a team in crisis, they're not throwing you lifelines, they're throwing you landmines.
Yeah.
And that's so what's he supposed to do with this now? This is a guy, okay, he knows his job's on the line if they don't make the playoffs this year. So now now the owner and the president have come out and said, we're in crisis mode. What's he gonna do? No one's gonna Chicago Blackhawks him. Schedule? No one's gonna hand him something good for nothing. He doesn't have anything to trade.
Austin Matthews called John Tavares this summer and was like, dude, come here.
Yeah.
And I think other players.
But no, he'll sign an offer sheet to go to Arizona.
Yeah. Reportedly, in the Leafs video that they showed Tavares, Marner was in it.
Before they took the ice out.
Do you think Ben and Seguin going to be going the extra mile? Where in their contract does it say they got to do that?
Doesn't.
If you treat your employees right, they'll go above and beyond for you. I don't think that's going to happen. Well, I pay the money. Well, it's funny how humans behave there, Jim.
Yep.
Stop treating them like they're friggin' objects.
I've gone to leadership courses when I've dealt with bosses that I've been frustrated with, and what they find is bosses that tear people down and constantly scare tactics or threatening tactics or things like this, they'll get just enough. Your employees will give you just enough. If your employees love you, they will go above and beyond. That is human condition stuff. I'm surprised that this old army mentality, which is something that the Leafs used to do, which is something that the Flyers used to do, calling out your players in public. Harold Ballard was famous for it here in Toronto, and guess what? Nobody wanted to fucking play here. Nobody wanted to play for him.
Man, I
just don't understand how is this possible
I have
that
a
this
hard
is happening?
time finding the clip. I don't remember what player he was talking about, but live on television, he goes, "Oh, he's a dumb Czech."
Oh.
He was talking about a Leaf. Oh, God.
Yeah.
It was. I saw it on TV once. It's probably way in the CBC annals. I don't know.
There's a lot of old CBC stuff of Harold Barrow that is shocking.
Oh my God.
Shocking.
So when I was at Leafs TV, they had this little room full of beta tapes. Now, kids, if you don't know what those are, you know the VHSs, obviously. It's a much bigger version of that. But
It was the precursor, right?
yeah, but because beta tapes are better quality, they just lost out in terms of business. People still recorded on them for a really long time. So the Leafs had this room, and they were converting it all to digital, which you had to do in real time.
Ooh.
So you had to play the beta tape, and it recorded to digital in real time. There was no fast doing it. You couldn't get, a ton of RAM in there or whatever. And it was going to take months and months and months. Then my buddy who worked at CBC, this is before I worked there, he invited me into the tape library where he was working that day. It was at least a dozen times the size.
Really?
You should see, dude, they got CFL games from the 70s.
Wow.
They got Hockey Night in Canada games from like the 50s. It's absolutely insane. Sorry, I don't know why I went off on that
There's
little tangent.
a radio clip on CBC.ca somewhere. Someone sent it to me once, and it was like there was a female CBC radio host in the 80s, which would have been a rare enough thing, right? Just would have been rare. And she was interviewing with, I believe, what's his name, Irvin or something like that? Dick Irvin? She was with Dick Irvin, and Harold Ballard in the clip is refusing to acknowledge any of her questions because she's a woman. And he's saying that he's like, I'm not listening to what that woman has to say.
He
what do
was
you want?
not a pleasant man.
No, he's literally he's the worst. And it's funny that some of that era, I'm not saying of the chauvinism, but some of that era still exists in hockey. It's that totally. I'm going to yell at you until you succeed. And I honestly don't think that people succeed. I think they succeed in spite of that.
People who worked under Harold Ballard still work in hockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the likes of him.
But I was 30-year hockey man.
Yeah.
40-year hockey man.
Been in it for a while.
76 years old.
We're getting away from it a little bit, but I don't see how this works.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, Ottawa, you're off the hook. Dallas, you're embarrassing.
Ottawa, you're off the hook for now.